Havilah, you and I have seen the fallout of ministers that live one way in the pulpit and another way at home.
Completely different, yeah.
Yeah, and so again, that's a huge thing. Authenticity. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be real. So Havilah, I love that we were talking about what we want to do in this session is just really build up the moms.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing we didn't talk about when we were in the intro is, yes, we have 8 boys ranging from 32, what's your youngest? 30 to 3. If you add those together, that's crucifixion.
Yeah.
So 30 to 3. We
Life
have,
of Christ.
Yes, there we go. We have that range. But not only that, is we're both full-time ministers.
Yeah.
Authors, traveling and speaking, ministry,
Yeah.
big lives. And you and I were talking about like when that moment was for you.
Yeah.
That you realize, okay, this is some things need to change, and I just love it if you would share with them, and then I'm going to go for that too.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I was doing ministry, or in ministry, I should say, early on, and before I had children, and I was always
Because your family was ministry like legacy.
Yep. Yeah. My dad's a pastor. They're first generation Christian, so my dad was an intense Italian from New York, and my mom was like a farm girl from Northern California, and they met. So I had a very interesting home life because they both were trying to remedy their legacy. They were really trying to find out how to grow kids. If the Word of God says it this way, then is it going to work? That's kind of where they were at. And so I was much of their like test child.
Experimental parenting. It's why the firstborn gets the double portion of the inheritance. It's the truth.
And I would say the number one reason why I have served God and have a good thought back to what my childhood was like was that they lived authentically. They really lived the same way at home as they did anywhere else. So I learned that early on, I think.
And I think you should pause there.
Yeah.
I think you should pause there because, Havilah, you and I have seen the fallout of ministers that live one way in the pulpit and another way at home.
Completely different, yeah.
Yeah, and so again, that's a huge thing. Authenticity. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be real. You need to be real. You need to be honest with your kids. Sometimes we're growing things, and that means things change over time. And your parents,
and they would
began
repent.
something.
When they missed something, they were the first to say, "Girls, we love you. We're so sorry, but we're going to do this." And it was huge for us. And I think another thing I realized, and you understand this too, being a minister's kid, I saw a lot of ministry orphans. I saw a lot of ministry widows, people that their spouses or their families were completely connected to ministry, but the kid was like an afterthought. And so I don't think that that's intentional. I think it slowly slips through our hands, and we come to a point where we either have to make a decision. And I remember coming to my decision. I had our 2 boys. They were young. Actually, it was my first. And I was up on stage. At that point, I was the worship pastor at our church, and I was leading worship, and I had our infant, our little guy, Judah. And I remember the person who was supposed to hold him couldn't hold him, and so she passed him to an usher.
Oh, gosh.
And the usher,
Mom panic.
I was on the stage singing through rehearsal, and I see the usher take the baby through and outside. Through our lobby. And at that moment, I felt, I think all moms go through this thought of, I need to do something. I don't know what to do because this is my old life. This is what I would be true to and honest to, but this is my child and I've got to fight. And I remember the Holy Spirit like talking to me at that moment, and he said, Havilah, this is like no joke. You get out, go out there and get your child. This is your baby, and everyone will just have to be okay with it. And I remember the Lord just saying, like, you have a choice right now. You can either ignore it and say it is no big deal. It's church. Everyone's safe. It's fine. Which isn't true,
not true.
At all.
That's not true.
Or you're going to be a good steward, and this is your first ministry is your baby. And I remember getting off and going and getting him and making decisions like, we'll never do that again. But it was a hard moment. I feel embarrassed even talking about it because I think a good mom would have naturally got off the stage and ran and had never done that. But I was in a dilemma. Like, I remember as a mom feeling the shame of, I want to be here and do what I'm supposed to be doing, but I have a baby over here. And I wish that I had immediately responded, but I didn't. It was a long delayed response, and then going and getting him and really making a decision. It was not a good day. I don't necessarily want to see reruns.
You were ministering before you had kids.
I was.
Yeah,
I was in ministry, and I valued being at home with my kids. My mom was at home with us, and I valued that. I mean, I loved that, but I also had this desire to be me fully, which is like live in my calling and grace. And so Ben and I, my husband and I, we really came to a place where we had to make a decision. Am I going to be somewhat of a working mom, but also be at home? And how do we navigate that? So we had to realize that this was a family call. It wasn't a Havilah going and making her dreams come true. And that this was something that we were called to, and we were all going to make sacrifices to live this out. I'm sure you have probably faced that as well.
Absolutely. And I have a little different entry zone. So I actually did not want to do ministry. I was hiding from ministry. My husband was youth pastor. He was forcing me to talk to people. I had 2 boys, and I was pregnant with my third, and I kind of used my kids as like a shield.
Yeah.
Like, like a human shield. Like, I can't be in the ministry because I have children. And I had seen what you're talking about, and I was like, I'm not going to have the crazy dysfunctional kids because we're in the ministry. So I had made a choice to stay home with my kids, to breastfeed all of my boys until they asked me to stop. I think the shortest I did was 18 months. I was fully engaged with all of the being a stay-home mom. And I remember, Havilah, that I was doing everything. And one day I was pregnant, and I was down on the floor, and I was scrubbing the grout with a toothbrush and bleach. And I was thinking in my mind, nobody gets this floor as clean as I get it. Nobody. And I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, and this was astounding to me. He said, when you get to heaven, you are not going to be rewarded based on how clean your grout is. And he said, the call of God is on your life. The children did not stop the call of God on your life. He said, you need to obey me and trust me with your children. Now, that doesn't mean we abandon. We don't abandon.
Right.
But he was like, you need to obey. And so I just thought, that's not God. That's not God. I'm just going to keep working harder. And I ended up getting in a car wreck. And this is terrible. God didn't put me in the car wreck, but I got in a car wreck where I had to have a cleaning lady come in and help. And God said, anybody can clean your house, but not anybody can be alongside their husband. Not anybody can write. And so I actually started writing my first book while I was still nursing my 4th child. And here's the thing: obedience protects. Obedience protects. And a lot of moms, they don't understand that the right thing in the wrong season is the wrong thing. And the wrong thing in the right season is the wrong thing. So you have to know your season. So what I did have was I actually wrote books so that my books could travel and I could stay home with my kids. And I was very guarded with my schedule because I knew that my kids needed to be raised by me. And so there's a lot of moms out there, and I understand that you're exhausted, you're tired, you're like, I want to go to a hotel. I want to take a shower without anybody else. I want to be with other females. Listen, if it's not your season for that, you don't want to do that. And
it's true.
A lot of the things I preach now, I learned in the season of being home alone with my kids. And I do not regret that I stayed home with my kids. And I want you to know, nobody is going to be a better mother to your children than you. Nobody.
That's right.
I'm sorry, even in all of your challenges, even in all of your fears about it, God handpicked you for those children. He handpicked you for those children. You may not have a ministry dynamic. You might be working, outside of the house. You might be a stay-home mom, and it can still be overwhelming. You might be homeschooling. My children would be dead if I homeschooled. I don't know, but here's the thing. Nobody could do it as good as you can do it.
It's true.
And God handpicked you for that. And you need to settle that. You need to settle that you can get into the presence of God, and whatever you have need of, God's going to give it to you.
That's right.
I also remember another turning point for me, Havilah, when I was trying to discipline my kids, and we're going to talk about this more, but God just said, you are doing motherhood in your own strength. And when you do it in your own strength, it's exhausting.
It is.
We need God. Mothers need God. We need God. We got to be brave girls. We got to get our brave on. Okay, we got to have our bras on too. We've got to have all of that. But the truth is, you cannot be a good mother without a great connection with your Heavenly Father.
It's so
and
good.
You have to refresh your spirit. You can't just pour. Then you'll just be drained and exhausted, and you'll be surviving your children instead of enjoying them. There's one regret I have. I wish that I would have played with my kids more when they were young. I had a clean house. I had them well disciplined, but I did not enjoy them as much. And so I just, I hope you are enjoying yours.
Yeah.
Because I think I told you that.
You have told me that. Yes.
And also out there, have a sense of humor. Nobody cares if your underwear, their underwear is tri-folded. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if your grout's really that clean. But your boys do care if you come home, if they come home and you're stressed out and you don't have any time to laugh with them, that matters. So you want to do that.
And it's funny, they did a study on parents, and they asked the children, what was the one thing that you enjoyed about your parent the most? And of everything, it was that they played with me, and that they had a good sense of humor.
Yep.
A good sense of humor was key to that. I think you also, when you talked about when the woman cleaned your house, and I think what's really important, and I like to say mommy martyrs, like I run in, we travel.
I was a mommy martyr.
Yeah,
I was
we
a mommy
minister to
martyr.
hundreds of women, thousands of women.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you'll find a woman who has completely lost herself and is this martyr. And I understand that. I mean, trust me, I had 3 in diapers at the same time. I had 4 in diapers and pull-ups at the same time. I would go to Target, and I would have one cart just for wipes.
Yeah.
Diapers, binkies, because I want to buy binkies in bulk, but they sell them you in 2-packs so that you spend so much money on binkies. And then formula, because I couldn't, I would nurse, but then I had another, I was nursing when I was pregnant, and I was the same way. I wanted them to cut it off, not me. And I wanted all those things. But I think, part of it is that you found a place where you got help, and you realize this is what I can rock at. This is what I'm good at in motherhood. And this is the part that if someone else can do. And I feel,
I only got help. I'm so cheap. I only got help because the insurance paid for the cleaning ladies. I'm sorry. That's really bad, but it's just the truth.
It's true. And I have friends that swap, hey, I'll come over and do, give me your laundry, I'll do your laundry. I mean, I have friends that we've done it all. I've done it all. I've oftentimes, I've even not eaten meat all week just so I could have a little bit more money to pay someone to clean my toilets. There was a few moments where I've just done everything. I had a garden. We've done all the pinch pennies.
I had a friend come over and help me clean the toilets. I was like, I can't face these alone. I can't face them.
And they would
so she would come and just watch me. I'd be like, okay, I'm going in. And I would have to tell myself, you can wash your hands afterwards. But it's scary. This can be scary.
It's really wild. Yeah. And I think that they did a study for new moms, and they found that the one thing that the dad can do as a gift, the thing that will last longer than anything, is to have someone come in and clean their house, even if it's once a month, or someone just to touch their toilets. Just clean my toilets
just
for
the
me.
Bathrooms.
Yeah, and we do that. Our home, in fact, we have one toilet our boys are not allowed to use at this point. I have to have one place I have to sit with confidence. There's one area in my life
Did you hear that
I need confidence. And if the toilet seat is up, how many of you guys know, there's nothing like sitting in a toilet bowl in the middle of the night out of sleep, where someone didn't put the lid down.
It's not sitting, it's falling.
It's falling.
It's falling into the toilet.
It's unbelievable.
It's abuse.
It is
abuse. It's wife abuse.
I have been known to wake kids up for that. But anyway, I just think, having the help, but I think, like you said, it's getting that point where we really go, this is the kid for me. And I have many times in my life, with being a mom of now 10 years, and obviously you have many years on me, I feel like I've called you, I've called different ones, and just said, I don't know how to do this. And when you hear someone say, you're anointed to be their mother. You are called to be their mother. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be enough for them. God's given you the tools and the skills and the ability. Something about that lowers our anxiety, our fear, and we go, okay, well, if God really put me here, then I can do this. And we have a different sense than just being on the defense of I'm just trying to get through it and pray that nobody dies, which I've had days like that.
And there will be days like that.
Yeah.
Now it's more I'm concerned about my safety because my boys are big. It's not that I'm concerned about their safety anymore.
They jump on you.
They're rough with me. They're rough with me. I get dogpiled. I get sat on. Lots of things happen that should not happen to any female, but it does. It still happens. And but we just wanted to make sure that you knew that God knew who He was giving these babies to. And whatever season whatever challenge it is, you can get what you need from God. We can give you practical stuff, but He's going to give you everything. And you are raising a generation for signs and wonders and miracles. You are not raising, I know we look around at our world right now, Havilah, and it's like there's a lot of young moms that are scared.
True.
With everything that's going on about bathrooms are, hello, it used to be easy. Girls went in the girls' bathroom, boys went in the boys' bathroom. Now it's like, I'm not sure what I feel like today. It's ridiculous. There's ridiculous stuff going on, and there is not clarity. But you know what? You need to give your kids clarity, and you need to have a clarity first and foremost.
That's right.
That God gave these kids to you because He believes that you can do it. He's going to give you what you need. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Have a sense of humor. Enjoy them. And we are going to go into practical things. We are going to get into these questions. But first and foremost, you just need to know
That's right.
you are God's woman for this task. You
That's
are the
right.
mother. You are the girl. And Havilah, I actually had to learn to be a mother by not having one. I mean, I had a mother,
Right.
but my mother was abandoned by her mother. And then she did it better. She did it better than her mother had done for her.
Okay.
And then I came on the scene, and I knew I wanted to do it different, but I kept looking for a woman to be that woman for me, and there wasn't any woman. And so, I'm just going to tell you, God will anoint you to be that woman
good.
that you see in your heart, to be that mother.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and find your person of hope.
Yeah.
I feel like no matter where we are, if you can get someone who the person of hope is the person that you look at and say, if they can do it, I can do it. So don't pick somebody who's nothing like you, has their, if I found a woman that was a gardener, organic, all this, perfect, did this, that would not be my person of hope. My person of hope is like, your kids are alive and you love God and you love your husband.
Low.
That
The bar's low.
keeps it normal.
Yeah.
And no, it's not that low, but you know what I mean? So I think find your person of hope. That would be probably my number one thought is if God has called you, and as He has called you to this, find that person to help you. Even if you never talk to them, like Lisa and I, we had never talked, but I could still look to her and know, wait a minute, this is really key in my life. So,
All right.
You can do it.
Okay, moms of men, this is your second activity. It's not going to be hard. But it is going to be intentional. I don't know what season you're in, but here's the thing. Everything on Instagram, everything on Facebook looks like everything is happening at the same time and everybody is doing more than what you're doing. Well, it's not true. It's not true. And the right thing in the wrong season becomes the wrong thing. And the wrong thing in the right season becomes the wrong thing. You need to know your season. And if you're saying, I don't even know my name, how can I possibly know my season? You need to get some time with God and say, God, what is this season in my life? Because see, the number one most important thing is the things you actually know you have been entrusted with. You've been entrusted with these children. This is your ministry at this time. And if you do this well, then everything will flow out of that. So find out your season. What areas can you sow in this season? You don't want to be planting things in winter. You want to plant them in spring, or you want to plant them in fall. Find out what you need to plant in this season. And then find out the help you need in this season. Once you know your season, you're going to know what you need. Invite that person of hope into your world. Get that older woman who can teach and train you in this season so you can go from strength to strength and glory to glory. We believe that you're going to bring forth fruit in every season. So know your season, enjoy your fruit, and get the help you need.